So, have you ever really thought about what separates the people who actually achieve their big long-term goals from, well, everyone else? It's not always talent, right? Or luck, or even just being super smart. In this explainer, we're going to dive into the one force that, honestly, builds an extraordinary life more than anything else. And that force? It's consistency.
You know, this quote just puts it so perfectly. The greatest challenge in life? It isn't some huge, dramatic event. It's what we do, or maybe what we don't do, every single day. The real battle? It's won in those quiet, repetitive, and, let's be honest, often unglamorous moments where you just commit to showing up.
And this is such a crucial distinction to make. See, we tend to think of failure as this big, explosive event, right? Like a huge misstep. But the real enemy, it's so much quieter than that. It's more like a slow, steady erosion of our ambitions. It's how one day just slips into the next, completely unnoticed. And then suddenly you look up and years have gone by.
Okay, so let's actually put a name to this quiet enemy. We're going to call it drifting. And really understanding this is absolutely key because we can't even start talking about a solution until we get what the real problem is.
So what exactly is drifting? Well, it's that state where you're letting your days just happen to you instead of making them happen for you. It's the ultimate path of least resistance, right? Always putting things off for that better time that, well, it never seems to show up. So the big question is, how do we fight it? For most of us, the first thing that comes to mind is motivation.
And right there, that brings us to a huge pitfall, what I like to call the motivation trap. You know the deal. We think we need to feel ready, we need to feel inspired and totally energized before we can take action. But here's a thought. What if that very idea is the one thing that's actually holding us back? I mean, think about it for a second. What is motivation, really? It's an emotion. It's that amazing rush you get from a new idea or some inspiring video. But just like every other emotion, it's temporary. It's a spark, not a sustainable fire. And if you're only willing to work when you feel motivated, you're basically trying to build your entire future on a foundation that's just completely unreliable. Okay, this chart really breaks it down perfectly. Look at the difference here. Motivation, it's fleeting. Discipline, relentless. Motivation is emotional, but discipline, that's a system you build. One is totally unreliable, and the other is basically unstoppable. And here's the kicker. Discipline is a system that works for you, especially on those days when your feelings are working against you.
And this quote really drives the point home. You cannot let a lack of motivation become an excuse to stop, because that's exactly how progress stalls. That's how we fall right back into drifting. It's a conscious choice to let your feelings win out over your commitments. And that choice, well, that's the path to mediocrity.
All right, so if motivation isn't the answer, then what is? This is where we get to the real solution, an active, deliberate power that we're calling forced consistency.
And I want you to pay close attention to that word forced. It sounds a little intense, right? But it's not about waiting for inspiration to strike. It's about making the decision to show up and honor your commitments, especially on the days you really don't feel like it. That commitment, right there, that's the engine of all real progress.
So how do you build this? It's basically a three-stage process. First, you've got force. This is the hard part. The action feels like a punishment, and your old self is fighting you every step of the way. But if you push through, you get to stage 2, routine. Now the action starts to feel familiar. The resistance is still there, but it's way less. And finally, you hit momentum. This is the magic part. This is where it actually feels harder not to do the thing. The whole system just becomes automatic.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. This applies to literally every meaningful goal you can think of. You don't get fit by going to the gym once. You don't launch a business because you had one good day. You're not going to master an instrument with a single practice session. Whether it's building physical fitness or gaining wisdom through daily reading, success is just the product of all that consistent and often totally invisible effort.
Okay, now here is where this whole idea gets really powerful. Because this isn't just about the things you do. Ultimately, this is about who you become.
I absolutely love this quote. Just think about that for a second. Every single time you choose discipline, every time you show up when it's hard, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. You are literally sending a signal to yourself that says, hey, this is who I am now. I'm the kind of person who follows through. And the amusing thing is, those votes, they compound over time. What starts out as just one really difficult action on day 1, well, by day 30, it's becoming a habit.
And by day 365, it's not just something you do anymore. It's a core part of your identity. It's just who you are. You've literally built a new version of yourself, one disciplined choice at a time.
So this means we have to totally reframe how we think about discipline. It's not about being hard on yourself or some kind of self-punishment. No, it's an act of profound self-respect. It's about being loyal to that future version of you that you've committed to. Every single disciplined act is just a promise you're keeping to your future self.
And the rewards for this, man, they go so much deeper than just hitting some goal. The real payoff is all internal. It's developing this unshakable self-trust because you know you'll show up for yourself. It's freedom from being a slave to your moods. It's this quiet, grounded confidence that doesn't need anyone else's approval. At that point, success isn't even something you're chasing anymore. It just becomes the natural outcome of who you've become.
So we're left with this really powerful idea. The future you're dreaming of, it doesn't just exist somewhere waiting for you. You have to build it, deliberately, brick by brick, one disciplined day at a time. There are no shortcuts here. There's only the effort, repeated over and over.
So I'll leave you with this to reflect on. The future you want isn't built in a day. We've talked about the plan, you know the process. All that's left now is the first step. So my question to you is, what brick will you lay today?